And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, it's Sunday. It is nearly Christmas. Things are in the air. I believe it's magic. How are you today?
I'm doing so well, Brad. It's as always so great to see you, man. Yeah, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Truly, it was so cold this morning.
Yes, it was.
This has been the coldest morning of the year by far, in my opinion. But I'm blessed, man. I'm very happy to see you today. How are you doing?
Doing well. I think last night I went out to do something, and I put on a jacket, and I was like, I don't know if I need a jacket. Probably won't. And I saw my Roadrunners hat, my winter hat, with a little tassel on top, and thought, there's no way I'm going to need that. And I got out to the car, and I was like, why did I go out with my bare head? This is stupid. It was really cold. And I saw something like we're going to have highs of 45 or something this coming week. I know the highs are supposed to be not very high, especially for Southern Arizona. I know some people are listening probably in Wisconsin or Michigan going like, you babies. Whatever, dude. You live in Wisconsin or Michigan.
Yeah. Our New York, New Jersey.
Get out of here. Yes. Yeah. Sorry about your mistake. I don't know what else to say. The sun's not going away anytime soon here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if it's going to be 70 degrees on Christmas type of year, which is probably for the best because it should not be that warm on Christmas. Even though my toes, my toes are just cold.
I busted out the wool socks last night. I got like the tri-layer wool socks that are rated for 20 below or whatever, and it just nice and toasty. We don't have a fireplace in the house, and that's the one thing I said when we were looking for houses. I really wanted a fireplace. Like I needed a fireplace, a wood burning fireplace, preferably. I love them. I've never had one in my own home. I've always wanted one, and we have a fire pit out back. Not quite the same roasty toasty feeling when you have to huddle around it for survival out in the backyard because it's so cold. But it's one of those things I really wanted to have. We don't have one of those. So even if the ambient temp in the house is warm, if I get a little bit cold and we don't have a fireplace, I don't feel like I can get warm. It's such a weird psychological thing that I go through. It's very strange.
Yeah, well, first, great use of ambient. Yeah, no, it makes a difference having a fireplace. My family had one growing up, and it's just like kind of classy. You know, it makes you feel like you've done something if you have a fireplace in the home.
Yes.
As long as obviously you have a heating cooling system, hopefully you'll be okay. But I agree with you. If you're able to have a fireplace in the home, it's super classy and just a nice touch. If I get my own luxurious home one day, I think that's gonna be on the wish list. Will it happen? I don't know, but it's certainly desirable from about November through February here.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I have to look up like building codes out here, but I think one's going in at some point.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it's going to happen. So we'll see.
Me if you need some help with installation.
Yeah. Yes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Tyler, there was so much wrestling this weekend and a lot of really quality stuff this week. I am eager to get into it.
Yeah, me too. Let's kick it off with WWE. So I am going to continue our tradition. This is the second week of our tradition, focusing on NXT.
Wow.
Believe it or not, who would have thought? Do you remember about a year ago when we said we're boycotting NXT? We are done. Well,
I boycotted everything WWE related.
We did.
An old man left and suddenly things changed.
Yeah, here we are. So Deadline occurred this past weekend, NXT Deadline. The name actually grew on me. It wasn't as terrible as I initially thought. But you and I both saw it, Brad. You in Marana, Arizona, obviously me here in Glendale. And we saw the debut of the men's and women's Iron Survivor challenges. The New Day, our NXT Tag Team Champions, which I did not expect. And Braun Breaker retained. My question for you: which superstar or match impressed you most on Saturday?
Individual superstar. I want to say Roxanne. I want to say Roxy. Zoe Stark impressed me in the match. The ladies showed out. I thought the ladies had a great match in general. Shout out to Alex Pawlowski for saying, I don't know why they didn't just have somebody go and fight inside of that penalty box and like lock themselves in there together. And my first thought was they're probably saving it for later in the show, which is exactly what happened in the men's match. My vote here is probably for Axiom. Like I really enjoyed that. I thought everybody else looked great. JD is incredible. And I feel like that was great. Gacy does nothing for me. It's like, I don't know. Jack Black and Bray Wyatt had a baby. I just
oh no.
Jack
Black was the man.
I love Jack Black.
In those early to mid 2000s. Yeah, he was.
But he's got like Jack Black facial expressions, but he's supposed to be kind of cult leader like Bray Wyatt. Yes. I'm getting both of those things. It's like Jack Black's dastardly character in King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong. I didn't buy that either. I just don't buy it. And it's not for me. Not that he's not good technically or a sound worker or anything like that. I don't really like that character. So as far as somebody that showed out, Alba Fire looked great early on with maybe one of the dumbest endings to a match I've ever seen. Which is unfortunate since they were so great in the match with each other, had good chemistry. I'm going to go Axiom for men, and I'm going to go Roxanne. Still getting used to that for women. Although Cora Jade, I thought looked pretty good. Roxanne really impressed me, especially with laying in the uppercuts. Claudio-like.
Very much so. Very much so. I really liked, I think Kiana James is her name.
Yeah.
I think that's her last name. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily a loyal weekly NXT viewer, but I've been watching it more lately. And of course, I try to follow the tweets every Tuesday evening. I thought she had some really cool spots. Yeah. She had that moonsault.
That was nuts.
Yeah, near the fans. And then most prominently, that Spanish fly off the top rope.
Yes.
The aforementioned Zoe Stark. That was so cool. So as someone who I don't know very well in terms of their character, I thought she had some really cool moments, even though I don't think she even had a pinfall in the match. And yet I thought she really delivered. Like you, super happy Roxanne won. You know I'm a big fan. And I got to agree with you on the men's side of things. So I was watching this full 25-minute men's match, Brad, thinking that Carmelo Hayes is for sure winning this. I sent you his interview with Fightful with Sean Ross Sapp. I watched all of it. It was only about 12 minutes and change. And not only does that dude seem to be a shoot babyface, but I texted you this. I don't know if it was the lighting because he was being interviewed while he was in his car, but I just sat back and thought like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful man. Like this is going to be a face of WWE for the next decade. Not only is his in-ring work spectacular, but he just can represent the company so well. I thought he was winning this match. Admittedly, I was pretty stunned when Grayson Waller won. I'll pass it over to you in a moment to, I guess, ask you a second question here about your thoughts on Waller winning. I thought Roxanne made so much sense, and I do believe she's going to be the woman to take the belts off of Mandy Rose. The men's match, I thought Hayes really delivered. I got to agree with you, though, in terms of Axiom. He was so awesome. I'm so happy that he got his share of pins. I know he was getting pinned early on. I'm glad he got a couple notches on the board. Those
back-to-backs, yeah.
Yeah, but there were two moves that really stood out to me. First, that golden ratio.
Yeah, super. Oh my God.
I saw that for the first time this past week on NXT, and this one in the match looked even better. Mm-hmm. Absolutely gnarly. And then I think he was with JD McDonough when I think JD, like, they had their hands interlocked, and Axiom went from the standing on the mat to the top rope and then hit a DDT.
Yes.
A flying tornado DDT. Pretty sure it was against JD.
Great sell too.
Great. Yeah. Axiom was awesome. I wasn't sure how I felt about him being in this match. Like, is he really main event, top title worthy? But he has a believer out of me. I thought he really delivered. But Grayson Waller won, which is a decision that was made.
I'm fine with it. Totally fine with
Really?
it. Yep, totally fine with
Over
it.
Melo, who doesn't miss?
Yes, totally fine with it. In fact, preferable. After watching that, I'm glad that happened. And it's not because I'm glad for Melo. I'm glad because Melo is going to be the one to take it from Waller, who will take it from Braun, I think. Waller is just so hateable. Like, he's so easily hateable. Like, that guy just has a face you want to punch when he says Waller. Like, you just want to hit him. And he's very smug. He's got that lipless smile. Like, that dude you just want to see him get beat. And so far he's not. Pro wrestling is at its best when the heel is getting all the shine and you see him winning despite you wanting them to lose until somebody finally beats them. That's the whole point. You want that guy that you can live vicariously through, beat the shit out of the bad guy. He's the best bad guy. Nobody wants to see Braun lose right now because he's not a bad guy, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But I wanted Melo to win. He was my prediction. I'm not mad that Waller won after watching it last night because I think that's obviously where they're going. Braun doesn't believe in himself anymore. He's questioning himself. Waller is the perfect villain for him. He's got a pretty good look. He looks like a WWE guy, but he also looks very different. I don't know how else to describe him. Like taller Kip Sabian when he had the silver hair. He just, there's something about him. He has a quality that I can't quite put my finger on that just says charismatic dude. I want to pay attention to him, even though I can't stand him.
Yeah, it's unique. And the build for him has been around for a long time. He was the guy to take out Johnny Gargano
right,
and effectively boot Gargano out of NXT. That's a big deal to be given that spot. Granted, that was months and months ago, but it seems like the push has been in the works for him for a while. He certainly had his fair share of losses. He ended up, losing that feud against Apollo.
Yeah.
But you're higher on it than me at the moment. I like your booking prediction of Waller being the guy potentially to take it off Braun, but then Melo ends up taking it off Waller. I guess I'm just really yearning for that Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker match. I just want it so bad, Brad, that maybe I have to put my feelings to the side and realize it may not happen as soon as I want it to,
or at all. Who knows? It might happen at the main roster level. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
The match is going to be good if it ever happens.
Yeah,
I think Braun is awesome, and
I want to see it. Yeah,
delivers every single time.
I want to see that match, but I want to see it in NXT. I don't want to see it on the main roster.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be as good because they're going to have Braun be big man Haas on the main roster rather than Braun Breaker, unless Triple H doesn't care about that stuff. Mm-hmm. At which point, like Keith Lee would have been doing moonsaults like he did this weekend if Triple H had his way.
Yeah, you know what's interesting to me too. Final note is that I guess much like the name of NXT Deadline, I've really gotten over Braun Breaker's name. Do you remember when it was first announced and everyone online,
I have
maybe even us,
I still think it sounds stupid.
Oh, do you really? Okay, because initially I was totally on that that train of, man, this name is terrible and why isn't he just Bronson Steiner? But it's kind of grown on me now, and he has the merch that says "Break Everyone," and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Your gear is always fire. I support it.
All those things could still be it. Break Everyone is a great catchphrase for Braun Steiner. It doesn't have to be Braun Breaker.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Like,
I'm higher on it than I was at one point.
It's way too 1980s for me. I just don't like it. Like, your last name probably shouldn't just be an adjective. I don't.
He's making it work, though. You got to give him credit.
It shouldn't be an adjective. It shouldn't be a position. It shouldn't be a job. His is just Breaker. It's not even a job. I don't know. Because Roman, you know what he does? He reigns. So there is that. And that name is sort of goofy too. So maybe I should just shut up.
Yeah.
My question for you, Tyler, thank you for saying yes. This is not directly a WWE question, but it kind of is. So bear with me. So we had the NXT event this weekend where New Day won the tag belts. We know Shinsuke Nakamura. This is about crossovers. Shinsuke is going to be doing work with Great Muta. We saw him with Kurt Angle this past week. So now that news has broken, it's out there. Wrestling Observer, that Sasha Banks, Mercedes Varnado, or Mercedes Monet, whatever she's going by, will be wrestling for New Japan, which is Stardom, correct? She'll be in the Stardom division in New Japan. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's possible that she would, number one, ever go back to the WWE after this? And if she does she come back as Sasha Banks or her new gimmick?
I definitely think it's possible that she returns to WWE.
I guess and likely is the word I was looking for.
Sure. Yeah, that changed it a little bit. Yeah, I do. I think we're living in a time now where you just really never say never, especially with Triple H being at the helm. If we were still in the land of Vince McMahon, probably not, given how things reportedly went really south with Naomi and Sasha as champs, and then them walking out of Raw, and then the way WWE handled it, where they had Michael Cole. Do you remember that on SmackDown? Michael Cole, and I think it was
the
Corey
unprofessionalism
Graves.
stuff.
Unprofessionalism City. Even though Brock Lesnar maybe kind of did the same thing, but
so did Austin.
He's still a god there, and Austin is arguably their biggest star ever. Under the Triple H regime, and knowing Triple H and Sasha's history and their relationship in NXT, I definitely think it's likely that she returns to WWE. However, her 2023 is shaping up to be epic. I was actually going to ask you this in my AEW section, but luckily I have a backup question ready to go. Sasha Banks is going to be the talk of the first half of the year, it would seem. It's wild to me, Brad, that you, myself, I think the majority of our friends that we talk to about wrestling just assume that once Triple H and company took over the leadership in WWE, Sasha was for sure going to come back. However, this past week, reading the reports, kind of putting tea leaves together, it would seem that her first trip back in a wrestling ring is definitely not going to be in WWE. I still don't get why she wasn't at Survivor Series, just to be at TD Garden a few days later for a Celtics game. It's just, you put things together, the AEW announcement of the big tag match in January. Super excited for her on a personal level, if in fact she is going to have that experience abroad. And I definitely think it's likely, though, that she'll end up back in WWE. In terms of which name, I'm kind of leaning toward her going back to Sasha Banks. I think Mercedes Moné may be its own non-WWE entity, whether that be in AEW, in Japan, in Hollywood. I'm kind of leaning toward she goes back to WWE as Sasha. But if there were one superstar who would change the game and would go by what she wants to go by, not what WWE says she needs to go by, I mean, Sasha would be that person. She is one of the biggest stars on the roster. What say you?
So I think that she's probably going to come back to the WWE eventually. I think she'll probably end up using Sasha Banks as a name, but I don't know. It depends on how big this other thing gets, because Sasha's pretty huge, but Sasha Banks hasn't been in The Mandalorian. Mercedes has been in The Mandalorian. So Mercedes Moné, or even Mercedes Varnado coming into the WWE would make a lot of sense of her just going in there with her actual name. I don't know. I don't know that it matters. I think we know, if we're fans, we know who it is, because I think the New Japan is probably the right move to go in with a different name and a different look to an audience that maybe doesn't know you at all, or at least not as much, because I don't know how much they're watching WWE over there, considering how different the product is from like what New Japan is, where it's about the sport and the competition more than the story. And I'm excited, though. Oh my God, there's so much talent there that I want to see her work with. I was not thinking about getting a TV subscription, but it's happening now.
I know where this is going. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am stoked for that. So I think it's likely she'll come back eventually. And if nothing else, she'll show up for a Rumble, and then she'll go into the Hall of Fame, which she deserves, like, more than almost anybody else on that roster at this moment, outside of probably Charlotte Flair. Like, her and Bayley should go together, like the role models. They need to go in together.
MVPs of the pandemic.
Yes, 100%. I can't imagine them not being in there together. I think Triple H wouldn't care if you were working for somebody else at this point. He would want to be like, yeah, you're going into the Hall, because that's what we do. We don't have to be on contract to go into the Hall, which is why I think Jericho might go into the Hall of Fame, but still be working with AEW. It'll be up to Tony if he'll allow it to happen, and he'll want the AEW graphic and stuff. But I think that could happen at some point if they could each figure it out. It's AEW is not competition for the WWE. I used to think it was. I still think it is in terms of like the in-ring product, but they're not competitors. WWE is a giant corporation, and AEW is a really, really awesome farmers market. Like it's Walmart versus the Oro Valley Farmers Market Association. Like they're not even close. It's one guy's thing, his like third side gig that he does, and the other one is publicly owned. It's you can't compete with a monster like that. The merch sales through Fanatics, you're using Pro Wrestling Tees, which is a great company, but it's a mom and pop in Chicago. It's not Fanatics, which has manufacturers all over the state. So I think that we'll see how it goes in Japan for Mercedes or Sasha, whatever. I don't know what merch sales and revenue and contractually what they get for merch over there, what that looks like, if it's on a separate deal thing, or if it's, I have no idea how contracts work in Japan. I have absolutely no clue. But I think that might dictate a lot of it too. Is she actually making money that she thinks she deserves over there? And she deserves a lot of money. They should just be throwing it at her face. We'll see what happens, because WWE offers a lot more in terms of revenue streams. Whether or not she has access to those things, I don't know. But there's a lot more opportunity there. But there's also a lot of opportunity in AEW to have that contract and that guaranteed money and do additional stuff with the blessing of the owner. So it's like,
yep, exactly.
There's not as much exposure as what the WWE can afford because of the networking through 3 major networks. You have USA, you have Fox, and you have Peacock. But at that same time, you have AEW, where it's like, oh, you need 6 months off to go film this movie. Go ahead. Show up when you can. Hulk Hogan WCW via satellite.
Yeah, I'm so worried that I'm going to interrupt you when you.
No, I'm good. I'm done.
No, I second everything you said in terms of her star power, in terms of the, the ambiguity of contracts overseas. But to your point, in terms of a booking standpoint, I think Sasha Mercedes just seems to obviously love wrestling and wants to be back in the ring.
Yeah.
In terms of WrestleMania really being right around the corner, which is going to be amazing, I don't know that there's a clear match or storyline for her this year. Of course, if she comes back, she's going to be on the card. It's going to rule, period. But to me, the main women's matches at Mania this year are shaping up to be Becky versus Ronda, and Bianca probably versus Charlotte or Rhea. I don't know that Sasha gets a title match. I'm not saying that she would require that she have a title match, but who would that Sasha opponent be at WrestleMania? Whereas if you go to AEW, to your point, Brad, I think there are so many options. Of course, like you said, she would probably have the blessing of Tony Khan to engage in her various projects and kind of maybe come and go as she pleases. I don't know that she would be a weekly talent. And I think that would be okay. I'm just so fired up, man. I don't know what is happening here. The tea leaves, though, just really seem to be pointing to her going away from WWE. I mean, Jade Cargill and Naomi were at an NBA game together. Isn't that that's a little curious, right?
It's nuts.
Sasha's not at Survivor Series in Boston, but then watches the Celtics play that week.
I'm looking
I'm just gonna leave it at right? Like, is it, or maybe it's all just trolling, and maybe she's back at Rumble, but obviously this is why we love just speculating on what could be.
I'm looking at Iwatani. That's right. At the Stardom roster right now, and man,
Kairi Sane, right?
I can't find her on here. Is she going by something else now?
I didn't think so, but that's a match that I definitely would need to see if Sasha goes to Japan, please.
There's two on here that will end my life if I see it. Number one, it's Julia.
Yeah. Yes. I know you.
Yes. Starlight Kid. Sasha versus Starlight Kid or Sasha versus Julia will slap. Like
you will self-combust from
people.
joy.
People will implode because it's going to be like, wow, look at, they're so pretty. Oh my God, they just got kicked in the face. Like, Sasha was always a really hard hitter in WWE. We know that. We see her teeing off on people, but in a place where it's not only encouraged but required, or you're going to die in there. I can't wait for that. Yeah, like, she's freakishly athletic, and she's going to be with other absolute freak athletes, and I'm here for it. So, by the way, the page I'm on is called Joshi City, which popped me.
excellent domain website choice. That's fantastic. I love it. And now I'm here solo. Brad has disappeared, seemingly. Full screen Jones. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
I don't know did we have an ad read that I was taking control of?
No, I tried to go back off of Joshi City, and I have my Mac mouse gimmick, and you could just kind of swipe on it, and I swiped left to go back, and I had my Chrome tab open.
Left on me, yeah.
Yeah, and I just went back to the studio.
Yeah,
I did swipe left, and I'm sorry.
Wouldn't be the first person that has, probably.
Sad.
It's okay. It happens.
We need to bring back the Bachelor music.
Yeah. Late January, we shall. Before we leave WWE, final note. This doesn't even need to be a question, Brad, but like you, I am so excited to see what the change in the Asuka character is going to be. Us talking about Japan just made me quickly say,
thank you. I'm glad you brought that up.
You've been on. This is my 30 seconds or less. You've been on top of this. I've seen your tweets, seen Asuka's tweets. This is coming at the perfect time for her. I think, as amazing as she is, future Hall of Famer, speaking of HOF, I think now is the perfect time to tweak her character and for her to bring some of that Japan Kana into the Asuka character. I think it's going to be money.
I hope she's just Kana. Like, she might have trademark over that name. And if they allow her to, if she allows them to use it for these purposes, but still retain trademark, it's a perfect mix, because she might never go back to Japan to wrestle. I don't know if she will. She's in her 40s. Like, she does not look like she's in her 40s. She
looks amazing.
She looks incredible. But she's been wrestling for a very long time. I don't know what she's got left in the tank. So I would love to see her come out as Kana. And somebody pointed out the Bray Wyatt stuff, that all those times the little Wyatt 6 butterfly or the moth logo has been in the background, it's always been behind Alexa. But Asuka's always been in those shots. So maybe there's something there, and that's why she's switching it up to Kana. I think it's just because she's losing. I'm hoping it's not because we have to do this culty tag team thing. I think Bray being on his own is fine. I don't need him to have a stable, but who knows? Like, that could be a really interesting thing. If Bray goes back to Fiend, Kana makes a ton of sense as a side character with him, like 2 demon clowns from hell, right? Like, that's, give me that. I'll do that. But otherwise, I don't think it makes any sense. But I'm excited to see what happens with Asuka. If she's already gone there on Twitter, I imagine that it's coming this week, or at least a change is coming this week. And maybe it's like she loses it and it's a snap and it's a slow build to the Rumble, where she debuts as one of the entrants. That would be cool. And I'd love to see her win it all as that person. But I have a feeling that it's Charlotte coming back. And if not, Tyler, last thing I'll say, when you brought up that the January contract thing, I need a tag partner for January for Saraya. I don't know when Charlotte's deal is up. So her contract with WWE could be up around then. Andrade, we know, is in the company. So who knows?
Think about that. Wow.
Who knows?
Tony Khan has something up his sleeve, clearly, right? This is giving major first dance in Chicago vibes.
Yeah, but for all I know, it could be one of the Bellas, or it could be somebody else from the Divas area. It could be Mickie James. It could be a whole bunch of different people. I doubt it'd be like Trish Stratus or somebody, but you never know who could show up that we're not thinking of that's retired that would have another run in them. Where I don't know who's up in Impact. Could even be somebody like Lady Frost, who I don't think got re-signed or ever re-signed that deal. I don't know if you saw that or remember that. But
yeah, and she's really desired in Mexico.
Yeah, so who knows? And there could be somebody from Mexico we're not thinking of. There could be somebody from Japan that we're not thinking of.
Unless
Julia.
Yes, I know we're kind of dipping our toes in the AEW waters now, so I'll just add in one more thought. With the announcement being made during that Britt Baker and Saraya promo backstage, I just think it has to be, if it's not going to be Sasha / Mercedes, to your point, Brad, I think it has to be a Charlotte or just someone on that top tier star list. As much as you and I love the Bellas, even I think maybe a different notch, Lady Frost, etc., Deonna Purrazzo, I think it has to be Sasha, Charlotte. I think we need to give Naomi more of her flowers. That's
a great point. I was thinking, what does she do? Does she stay in the entertainment sphere? Naomi would be a great fit.
It has to be a top. Unless they're going to squash the rumors and announce it beforehand. If we don't know heading into January 11th, it just seems like it has to be Sasha or Mercedes. But I would gladly take Charlotte as well.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens here, because it's I don't know, it's really exciting. We get to predict. Wrestling's in a really good place, and a good state, if you will. Tyler, we haven't done this in a while, but it's time for the state of 19 media.
Late breaking news from the world of 19 media.
Small Town USA released their first holiday episode. Join Jess and Carmen for their latest adventure, the town that brought Jello mold.
On the latest episode of Close Up Magic, superfans Steven and Malik welcome media member CJ Hill to discuss the latest news and notes surrounding the franchise.
Chris and Jonathan dropped a new episode of Friends with Boredom. Tap in and hear their thoughts on the New York Jets, along with celebrating the life of Jason David Frank.
Jabari Davis, formerly of 19 Media and now producer for iHeartMedia, is doing great work behind the scenes for the show Miles and Jack Got Mad Boosties, an NBA podcast. You can check him out at Jabari Davis NBA on Twitter.
Our guy Desmond Powell dropped a new episode of Hip to the Games. Check it out and hear his second installment of NBA. Let's talk about it. Shout outs, Suns, Kings, and more.
Speaking of hoops, Brad, the fellas at the Baseline NBA podcast welcome Jeff Stotts of, speaking of great website names, InStreetClothes.com to their show this past week. Tap in and hear an insightful conversation around injury trends and understanding load management.
Man, load management. It's something that I need help with at work right now. I really need help with that. It sounded like I was going to take that to a different place, but I knew I saw it in your eyes. He's like, "What is he up to?" Yeah, what is he up to?
You're doing great. You should give yourself more credit.
The crew at Late Night Lake Show dropped a new episode last week. Check it out and hear their excitement after watching the exquisite play of Lakers star Anthony Davis. Glad we could squash all of those. Get rid of him, trade him. What's wrong with you? Why would you keep him? Rumors.
Yeah, and as much as we admire that demographic sometimes on Twitter, because we know they're genuinely good people, the Suns slander, they're just, the Lakers are going up and the Suns are suffering some bad losses, and anyway, we support those guys. Good people all around. 19 co-founder Warren Shaw released a brand new edition of Dope Interviews. Check out his conversation with Robert Alexander, director of HBO's new documentary, Shaq.
Man, I can't believe that's finally happening. Finally, shout out to Mike Steff, former GI guest and fellow podcaster. Check out his show, The Salty Thoughts of Donnie Yu, for passionate commentary on the latest news in sports, professional wrestling, and New York politics. Also, Hidden Gems Football, incredibly intricate graphic. His show with 19 co-founder Mo is a weekly 19 entity. Check out their episodes on 19 Media Group's YouTube channel and previews. So they will preview the NFL weekend as well on occasion. They did have some thoughts about this week's games. By the time you listen to this, that won't help you. The games will be over, but you can go back and check out their predictions and their analysis.
Yep, episodes every Thursday. We also love those guys, and we encourage you to support what they're doing.
Yeah, they're great. Tyler, hit me with your AEW question.
Yeah, let's do it. I told you before we went on air, maybe even earlier in this episode, I forget, that I was leaning toward going full Sasha watch 2023 right, with my question. But if you are listening or watching us, you already heard us talk about it, and chances are you probably heard another podcast or watched another podcast that went full reckless speculation. So we'll go ahead and shift here to a feud that I frankly don't think we've discussed enough in recent weeks, Brad. Here's my question for you. MJF's run in AEW from day one has largely been characterized by not necessarily his matches, although those have been great, but instead by his promo duels. You can think of the words he's exchanged with Darby Allin, Eddie Kingston, CM Punk, Wardlow, Jungle Boy. The list, and those matches usually end up being really great too. The list goes on and on. However, this past Wednesday, we got the moment. MJF, Ricky Starks in the same ring, exchanging words. Brad, what did you think of this? Not only your initial reactions to the promo duel, how does this rank for you in terms of MJF's previous promo battles? And most importantly, what are your expectations heading into the Winter is Coming main event this Wednesday? Ricky Starks, MJF, World Heavyweight Championship.
So first of all, I wasn't thinking Jungle Boy. I was thinking Brian Pillman Jr. When he called his mom Methany, I believe.
Stiff.
Yeah, really, really bad. His promo duels are almost non-existent. The only ones he's actually had have been with CM Punk. Everybody else has been a one-way evisceration. And then like Darby, his promo duel with Darby was specifically, I'm just going to take it and then I'm going to kill you. That's been kind of it. You're not getting under my skin. I'm not going to let you, blah, blah, blah. So I really like the way that has turned out. This was the best one. And it's not even remotely close. Like not even remote. This eats Phil's lunch. This eats that entire promo off. Was really exciting. This was better because MJF didn't
expect you to go there.
MJF didn't come out looking like $1 million. Ricky did. That's not happened to MJF in my memory. CM Punk has made him feel bad, but it's usually MJF coming back out and saying something, and then Punk going, "Is that true? What you just told me? Is that true?" Remember that? So that was great, and that was a whole great setup to that match. CM Punk is so good at acting that he was able to like sell that, like, is that real? I believed it in that moment. I was like, damn, is he really asking him right now if that is real? Because Max is also amazing at acting. Ricky had some flubs in his promo. It wasn't pitch perfect, but that dude sold his ass off. He was so into it and so passionate. You can skip right past stuff and be like, who cares? He said something about making a new asshole or something, and I don't know what it meant. I don't even care. I believed he'll do it. You caught that, right? Like
I did.
And I was like, what does that mean? I don't know. But Max calling him Pebble was great. Like a lesser rock was incredible. And you've made the Rock comparison a ton. So I as soon as he started doing it, I was like, oh, Tyler's going to be fired up about this. He's probably getting hot at home right now watching this thing. Like, how dare you slander Ricky Starks?
I can confirm.
I absolutely loved this. This was for me, potentially segment of the year. I still love all of the stuff that's been happening with Sammy. My favorite segment of the year was the honorary Uce segment because it felt real. The emotion was real. This is right there, man. Like a totally different reason for it. But as far as segments go, this was so good. And then we got the physicality at the end. Max, of course, kicking him in the nuts, in the pebbles. And then Ricky taking it off the rope and spearing him literally out of his shoes. It was all so good. I don't know what was approved before going out there, how much of that stuff was supposed to come to air. Ricky calling out the color of Max's nose and the spray tan and stuff. I don't know how much was too far, or if they were like, let's just go after whatever we want, as long as it's not about our families or something. I don't know. But I absolutely loved every second of this. I also loved when Ricky was calling out Max and Max looked shocked. He was absolutely suppressing laughter and a smile. You could see him kind of like doing that mouth open, but the corners were tilted up a little bit. Like he's loving this, but he can't show it because he's supposed to be pissed off. I thought it was great. This feud is going to rule. Now that it's for both things, the ring and the title, I would love a really, really, really short reign for Max, especially how much he's hyping up the Reign of Terror, and have Ricky win the belt immediately off of Max, and then have Max and Ricky have another match. Max take it back, and maybe they just have a back and forth for a while. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I think that would be great. I know people are going to go like, well, Ricky isn't ready. It's Max's time, but it's like, when's he going to be ready? What does ready mean? I don't really care that he hasn't held gold. Yeah, he has. Okay, not officially sanctioned gold, but he has. So in short, in summary, loved it. Want more of it. Potential segment of the year for me.
Yeah, that's music to my ears. I thought this ruled. I definitely think MJF is winning on Wednesday. I don't think there's much of a chance. I could be completely wrong. I've certainly made my fair share of inaccurate predictions over the last few weeks. There's no doubt about that. But I think MJF definitely wins this coming Wednesday. Hopefully they get time. I thought this promo duel was excellent. This is a feud that I've been yearning for a few months now, when I saw sort of the pieces of the puzzle coming together that we could potentially get this. It was amazing, Brad. You have arguably the two best dudes on the mic in the entire company, and you picking it over Punk and MJF really surprised me. I don't know if I'm there yet, but you raised some very, very persuasive points, especially that Ricky was elevated from this. And one may argue he, as you did, he in fact out promoted MJF, which is rare. We do not see that, have not seen that very often in the history of All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, I was typing down some timestamps here, and I just saw a potential clip, Ricky an asshole, which made me giggle. I did not expect to see that in a chat.
I misspelled the two out of excitement. Two A's, AASS.
Asshole.
Oh yeah. Just for emphasis.
You got some drawl on it. Yeah. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it's better than Punk and MJF, but I liked so much that everything was flipped onto, taken from MJF and back to Ricky, who also continued to sell the ball shot throughout the entire thing, which made me laugh. That's got to be just awkward as hell, standing up there in your underwear, holding your nuts in front of a million people. It's got to be, something.
We forget about that. It's got to be something for sure.
Yeah, it's not like they're just getting up there and doing a monologue. It's just they're bearing it almost all for us, and it certainly has to be something. I don't know, man. Like this was great. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Super excited for the show.
Yeah, me too. And Tyler, you know what else I'm super excited for?
What's that?
Talking about Grad School. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about what happened this week in Grad School. Tyler, this week in Grad School, let me sum it up. I turned in my assignment and I'm done. I have no idea how I did. I
Fingers
have
crossed.
absolutely no idea. I had to link in all of the stuff that I've created throughout the semester, the style guide, a couple of other things like personas, whose job responsibilities, a few other things, and then create a summary doc saying, here's your report. And it's a strategy report that includes all of those things. If I were to include everything, it'd probably be about 20 to 30 pages. And right now it's 2.5 with LinkedIn documents. I asked my client how they would prefer it delivered, and that's what I got. Bullet points, short phrases. What she said was, I really want graphics and videos. And what I said was, this is due in 2 days. That's not happening. And you get what you get. And that's what it is. My client is my wife, by the way. Check out Small Town USA. Or wonderwanderkids.org. I really loved this class. I'm sad it's over. On to the next one eventually, but I'm really sad it's over. I did, however, say we had to use a couple weeks ago, we had to use a software that we were unfamiliar with to create content and then talk about the experience. So I used Adobe InDesign. Never again. I hate it so much. I think it's cool how you can make layouts and stuff, but it's so similar to Adobe Express and it's so similar to Photoshop and a few other things, but it's not similar enough. So it's like German. Like German is we're a Germanic language. We're a German-based language. English is, or a Germanic-based language. But German's really, really hard to learn. It's very similar. Portuguese and Spanish, they're damn near identical in so many different ways, but totally foreign to each other. It's like that. It's, oh, this looks familiar. And then you get into it and you go, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it was a total 180. I hated it. Then I brought up, like, I use Adobe Express for this, and then I'll use After Effects. Sometimes I'll use Premiere Rush, Audition. I'm using all of these Adobe products that do all of these different things for content creation for the pod and for the website that I've never used InDesign, which is cool if you're making publications. And I sent that to her, and she called me her new tech hero. And I thought that was pretty cool because I know all of those things. And I realized when I was typing them down, I'm like, damn, I know all these things. That's pretty cool. So what I learned was grad school, awesome. This helped me for grad school, and I had no idea.
I love hearing that. I'm just beaming right now. I don't know that you give yourself enough credit, man. The way you've mastered some of these applications, and for our viewers, everything you're seeing right now.
Definitely not mastered. Definitely not mastered.
Everything you're seeing right now here on YouTube was created by Brad. You may have heard me say this once or twice before. The logo, the pretty overlay, that's all you learned how to create that. You didn't have the knowledge before we started GI, Brad, but you did your research, you played around, you gave yourself the time to see what worked and what didn't. And I'm just so happy that you're getting to show off your prowess, if you will, to your professor. You said your professor said you are their, what was it, their tech hero?
Yeah, their tech hero. That made me happy.
That's a big deal. You are all caps over, my dude.
Now, I want to, for those of you that have forgotten, humble beginnings. That's it. Just the GI logo up in the corner.
Our day ones, remember.
And then our display names on the bottom. And then we had to switch it up, though. We had to go do something different.
Yeah, look at us.
I appreciate that. Do you have anything to report? I know you've been done for a little while.
Yeah, no, similar to you. It was, finally the weight being off your shoulder when you turn in that final assignment. I confess this to you, I believe, in the DMs, and I'll confess it to our audience here quickly. For my final assignment, it was this multi-page essay where we had to, I'm in the learning design program at ASU, and we had to write this paper kind of predicting what a future learning technology is going to be at some point within the next 5 to 10 years. So I wrote a bit about that, kind of like a social media for teachers where they can earn different certifications and micro badges. It was a whole thing. Hopefully the paper was more interesting than my description just now, but I share this because I turned that essay in at 11:54 p.m. the night it was due by 11:59 p.m. So it was one of those classes for me. I finally got in. I'd been working on it up to that. It wasn't just a total cramming at the last minute. But like you, Brad, I'm just glad that I finally checked off that box. And yeah, man, I'm 4 classes in. So a year away from graduation. This time next year, hopefully, knock on wood, I'll be walking across the stage and have some good grades to go along with it.
That's awesome, man. This was fun. I like doing this. I don't know that it's everybody's favorite segment, but you know what?
Maybe in the top 10.
Yeah, top 10 of the 10 segments we have, definitely you know what when I miss Stranger Things. That's the one I miss the most. Yeah, that was a blast. We got to find another one. If you're listening, if you've made it this far, if you're watching, you made it this far, give us some pointers. Go like, hey, I want to hear you talk about this show. We'll probably ignore you, but we'll give it a try. That's all I can promise here.
I second that fully.
Yeah. Unless it's like, we'll see what happens.
Brad, I'm ready for your AEW question. I know you got a lot to choose from. I always in my mind try to predict, like, what is he going to ask me? Let me make sure I kind of know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm ready for you. Let's go. Cool.
I'm going to ask you about what you asked me about. And that is Ricky and MJF. And I did that specifically so I could twist it at the end. So I am going to ask you about that, but I no longer need your thoughts on the promo. What I want to ask you, because this goes for WWE and AEW, because I don't know if I have an answer for this. Why don't we have women at the same level of mic skill as an MJF or a Ricky Starks on our TVs in WWE or AEW? Because I don't think there's anybody that's quite at that level. But I don't know if there are, because I never see them on my screen getting that kind of promo time. It seems to be like WWE, AEW, aside from Becky, maybe almost nobody gets solo screen time in front of fans. It's backstage things with other people. It's backstage things about the match they're about to have, but it's never, I'm here just to eviscerate you and cut you down. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, in AEW, I think we saw some of that, if memory serves, with Dr. Britt Baker and Ruby Soho, like a year ago, heading into that first Arthur Ashe show. But to your point, I think a lot of it, if memory serves, was backstage and not just, here is 5 to 10 prominent minutes in the ring in front of thousands of fans. Yeah. Why we don't get it? I think the talent is there. I think if they were given that exposure and time and the reps, the Britt Bakers, the Ruby Sohos, Athena's been doing great as a heel, now ROH champ. Perfect. In WWE, you can list the name of incredible women. I think if given that time and that opportunity, they could knock it out of the park. Why we're not getting it? I don't know. I think there's certainly there are segments every single week on WWE and AEW programming that are completely expendable. And no disrespect to the talent involved in those segments, but I think you could find time on both products, both Dynamite, both Raw. It's kind of mystifying.
Yeah.
What do you think though? You've thought about this clearly.
Yeah. Well, I think about it. So there's time that could probably be shaved, and this is going to sound really bad. Like I don't like the talent. It's not what this is. I love Alpha Academy. They're there to have really great matches and be entertaining, but not do anything. Like they're just there to either beat your favorite team with no result for them in any way, shape, or form, or lose to your favorite team with no, like they're never really in the title picture. They're just
interrupt Kurt Angle.
Or to interrupt Kurt Angle, because Olympians are going to interrupt each other, I guess. So, and that's fine. That's why they're there. But giving that stuff screen time over people that are long-term, Kurt Angle's different. That's an attraction now. Like Kurt Angle used to be just great. Now he's an attraction. So if Kurt Angle's there, you got to give Kurt Angle time. And I respect that. That's not even what I'm talking about. If you have Raw, that's 3 hours of television, and you can't find 3 minutes to have somebody come out and cut a fat promo on somebody else, like vignettes are fine. Like I'm okay with a vignette. Like it worked for Miro. Miro doing a promo in the ring doesn't work. Miro doing a vignette. Now we're talking. Where the hell is Miro? Is that Kip's guy? Are we best man in him again, or is it going to be something else? I sure hope
be
not.
something else.
I think it's going to. Well, he already came out, right? Like it was Trent Seven. That's right.
Yes. Yeah. That's
which
right.
was
Mustache
awesome.
Jones.
That was a cool surprise.
Yeah. Very nice surprise.
I'd say about 35% of that audience knew who he was. But it was still really cool. I thought for sure it was going to be Miro. I'm glad it wasn't, but where is he? Come on now. For the women to not have time over some of this stuff, it's like, do we really need that squash to go? This is a bad dude and a monster. Do we need that? That was 3 minutes of nonsense there. That it could have just been like, I'm not wrestling that thing. I'm not going out there to beat these guys, Tim and Bob McCluskey. Like nobody gives a shit about this. So I don't know. Put some of the stuff that's been on Dark, leave it there. Don't put it on Rampage. Have a promo happen on Rampage. If you're like, well, we don't know if this is going to be a draw on Dynamite, well, put the promo on Rampage. You don't care about that show really anyway. I can't say that after this week. This week Rampage was pretty good. Hopefully it's more of that going forward. But it's like while we're recording this, we got news right before we started here about official Ring of Honor news about Honor Club being kind of the exclusive spot. I'm sure we'll hear more in January, as TK said at the press conference, that Tyler McDowell Blanken of 19 Media Group so kindly stepped in and got all the scoops and put them up on the Gimmick Infringement Twitter page. Make sure you follow that. It's with GIPod 19 on Twitter. As long as Twitter exists, we will not have a check mark of any kind, but we are there. So check it out for news and notes. But that being said, I don't know what happens to Mercedes after this. I don't know who is the Ring of Honor talent that are women. Like who's the female Ring of Honor talent? I really don't know. I imagine it's Willow, but I don't want her in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I'm so happy for her. She is over in every city, every match.
Agreed.
It's infectious.
And I know that that TK said there'll be crossover, but let's just be honest. AEW is the A brand. It just is.
Of course.
And then after that, it's ROH. And then after that, it's Dark and Dark Elevation in my views, or Dark Elevation and Dark, however you want to order those two. I don't know, because they've been doing some really fun stuff on there. Daddy Magic, by the way, aside, unbelievable on commentary.
A treasure.
Just amazing.
As my partner would say.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
The dad guy gimmick, which was amazing on Elevation this week, that did the wait and then the point that the chest looked down and then up to the nose. Huge pop from the crowd. But Matt Menard laughing through it and yelling, "The people love it," is the best part of that clip by far.
Yeah, and there was another clip with that tag team. They had the most professional wrestler names of names in history. It was like Chuck Ford and I don't know, Terrence. It was something, but it was like a 7-second clip I saw you quote tweeted, and they're being introduced and they're just like flexing and they're just being ridiculous. And Menard on commentary is laughing and goes, "Who are these guys?" It's just like that's exactly that's what we're thinking at home. Thank you, Daddy Magic, for channeling us right there.
Yeah, when he stuck out his arms to say stop, he's like he looks like the IT guy. Which I thought that popped me. Yeah, it was all so good. I love it so much.
It was a really good week for AEW. I mean, quickly, FTR versus the Acclaimed, a match that we didn't think we were going to get till March.
2 losses for FTR in 1 week, though. Oof.
Yeah, they lost clean on that Dynamite match, which I had no issue with. But that's another talent in terms of speculation and contracts. Reportedly, I believe their deal with AEW is up in April, and if maybe that's a talent that we could see going back to WWE, especially if they're not in a title program at that point. Not saying they're motivated by being champions every single month of the year, but they had their title match here, and maybe they run it back at Revolution, Brad. I don't know. I thought it was awesome that we got a clean finish for this tag match we've been really wanting now for a while.
If they go back and they to the WWE and they come in as FTR with that music as these characters, they beat the Usos. They are the ones that beat the Usos.
Wow.
Like they're the only ones that I would believe at this point.
Okay, so
else you got?
that interferes with our Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn winning.
I
Mania.
don't want them.
No,
I don't want.
They're
them.
broken up now.
No,
the friendship is.
I don't.
Wow.
No, I like them as single stars. Sammy's never had a real singles run at the top of the card. Like, get him up. The Intercontinental Championship, I get it. But that IC title run was what it was. Mm-hmm. The Conspiracy Sammy wasn't for me. It was funny, but like him as a champ was like, I don't need that. I want him to just be a good wrestler.
I would tend to agree.
Anyway, all of that stuff that I just said, though, then we were like, well, what about these things? What about that thing? What about this thing? What about that thing? All time for women's promos, I guess is the short part.
Amen.
So, that's a hell of a circle. We just traveled all the way around.
This we are who we are. This is what we do. Yeah,
absolutely.
We cover all our bases here.
Tyler, what are you looking forward to this week?
Oh man, 2 quick notes. So as we're recording this on Sunday, tonight we have the season finale of The White Lotus. This is that HBO show I've been telling you about, Brad.
I saw you had it on that screenshot that you sent me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, listening to a podcast about it. So the season finale is tonight. Again, by the time you're hearing or listening to this, it's already available on HBO. But super excited not only to watch that episode to see how things play out, but then of course to consume many articles and maybe a few podcasts. Really reflecting on the season. And then secondly, I don't know that we've talked about this, but one of my favorite music acts, SZA, the R&B queen herself, released a new album, about 20 plus songs, really cool art kind of concept. And it's just fantastic. So first play, first listen, first reaction, amazing. And inevitably, I will dive into it multiple times this week as well. So that's about it for me, though. Work should be solid, and we're getting closer and closer to the holidays, which is something I'm very grateful for. How about you? How does the week look?
Looks great. Man, I'm looking forward to the end of the week, because the end of the week means the end of the regular quarter for me, which means I'll be through the bulk of what I have to make myself just survive through. It's really a matter of survival. That's truly what's happening right now. Hoping I can make it through. We're in a tridemic right now. Lots and lots of people sick with either flu, COVID, or RSV. I had like 10 kids absent the other day from my class. I spent 10 minutes on my soapbox just telling them to take care of themselves, and kids were crying when I was talking to them. So they're going through it right now. Like, hug your students if you have them. But I'm looking forward to going back and being with them. I do letters every year. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it this year, which means I'm going to do it. It's so much time, and I know it'll be valuable. And I have 96 kids this year, so it's a lot. I'm going to try to do that, but I look forward to giving it to them. So I'm looking forward to the end of the semester. I'm looking forward to decorating some more. I'm looking forward to making some cakes and cookies and treats and stuff to send out to people. I'm sure the box will be arriving at your doorstep in the coming week or so. And finishing this painting and building some things in the garage and just doing stuff, man. I'm freer right now. I'm not free, but I'm freer than I have been. And I'm looking forward to a little bit of that freedom to be able to just get some stuff done and be creative in different ways than I have been in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I love that. So well said. I am so stoked for you. Brad, this is it, man. We did it. Another episode of GI in the books. If you have not already, I implore you to follow Brad on Twitter. He can be found at WindDuster. Consider following me too. That would be appreciated. I'm at Tyler J. McDowell. Of course, we are at GI Pod 19. Thank you so much for being here. I know we try to mention it every week because it matters to us. We so appreciate your support and your belief in what we do. As Brad said, please reach out. Let us know what you love. Let us know any ideas you have. We are open to any and all feedback, and we are grateful that you decided to share some of your day with us. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.